Out of all the things you can do for your health, prolonged fasting is at the very top of your list. The feeling you're going to get from it is almost euphoric, a state of bliss. A lot of people do it to increase their spirituality and their mental state. Prolonged fasting is the only way to achieve deep cleaning, turning junk in your body to new cells. The other thing that I really like about prolonged fasting is that you're using fasting for exercising willpower. Willpower is the ability to remain in control of your body. I mean, think about an average person. Their whole life, they're not in the driver's seat with their food. When you actually say no to your body and you really start fasting, despite the smell of food, despite all the visual foods, your ability to say no gives you incredible power. This makes it easy to strengthen this willpower and stick with it a little bit longer than you normally would. Let's shift gears to cancer for a second. Just think about the biggest risk factor for cancer. It's age. As you get older, your risk for cancer goes up. Why? Because of the accumulated damage in your cells. Plus, as you age, you get more inflammation. You get less oxygen. Cancer tends to grow into areas of inflammation and low oxygen. Fasting is the most potent thing to reduce inflammation. There is some data to show that cancer cells can live on sugar, certain amino acids, as well as ketones, but not the ketones that come from fasting. Ketones are not just about an alternative fuel. They help your brain. Your brain prefers them. Ketones activate genes that extend your life. If you do regular prolonged fasting, I really believe that you can totally prevent getting cancer. This is why I recommend doing a 72-hour fast every single month. Prolonged fasting will also take insulin and really bring that way down. If we can keep that hormone low, your body can't grow a tumor. It's in a recycling, cleaning, cleansing mode. If we increase more oxygen, we can also reduce the risk of cancer, and that would be exercise, right? So this is why it's so important to also, while you're doing this prolonged fasting, go on long walks, get a lot of oxygen. Growth hormone also majorly goes up when you're doing fasting. Growth hormone helps you burn fat, but it also helps you preserve your muscles. Now let's switch to some practical tips with fasting. 1 or 2 days before the fast, you want to increase your fat to make it really easy to transition from glucose to actual burning fat. You also want to be doing intermittent fasting for a while before you try a prolonged fast. The other thing that's really important is electrolytes. I'm talking about potassium, magnesium, and sodium chloride in the form of sea salts. Supplements, and especially electrolytes, will not break your fast. One of the biggest problems with people that do prolonged fasting and don't feel very good is they're not having enough sea salt. And so they get keto flu, cramps, weakness in the muscle. How do you get this sea salt when you're fasting if you're not eating anything? You're going to have to take 1 to 1.5 to even 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Take a little bit and dissolve it in water. I might add lemon to it. I might also add sea salt to my coffee. The other really important thing is once you're done with this fast, when you transition into a meal, do not make this mistake. Don't start consuming anything sweet or carbohydrate. What you want to consume is just a little bit of sauerkraut, fermented vegetables, an egg, or some bone broth is really good. Because sometimes all it takes is a little bit of protein to get you back to where you need to be. Wait for a few hours and eat a little bit more. Your digestive system has gone to sleep and you have to wake it up slowly. You don't want to wake it up with carbohydrates. The reason why people don't feel good when they do prolonged fast is either they don't have enough sea salt or they haven't adapted to it gradually beforehand by doing regular intermittent fasting, or they just need more protein. You may have heard this story in another video, but I had this gentleman who reached out to me and he said, you might want to do a video on my story. He was very, very depressed. He was suicidal. He wanted to kill himself. So he locked himself in his room for a few days and just wanted to starve himself to death. Laid in his bed and just said, I'm not going to eat or drink anything. By day 3, he was feeling incredible, happy, mind was working. He's like,
why do I feel so good?
So he goes on his computer and he discovered the benefits of fasting from my video, and it changed his whole life around. Another thing that can happen is if you have a tendency to get gallstones, you may generate a bit more bile sludge. The antidote is something called TUDCA, which is a very special type of bile salt that keeps the bile thinned and flowing through the ducts. Take 2 Tutka twice a day. If you're pregnant, if you're lactating, I don't recommend you do prolonged fasting. I also did a video on a group of, I think it was 5 to 7 people. 1 or 2 of these people had diabetes type 1. And they wanted to do an experiment where they did exercise. They ran 20 miles every single day for 5 days in a row. They wanted to prove that a diabetic type 1 could handle doing 5 marathons in a row. But that wasn't the interesting thing about this story. It's that they not only ran 20 miles a day for 5 days, they also fasted. Yes, fasted for 5 days. What's really interesting is that they didn't get a lot of soreness. Why? Because the anti-inflammatory effects from the fasting sky high. I just want to put this out there just to show you, you can actually exercise and also fast at the same time, even if someone has a health problem. But of course, I'm not recommending it unless you check with your doctor. You now know the power of fasting in this part 2. But if you have not seen my part 1 yet, you will be missing some really key points. In part 1, I talk about what to eat after fasting, what to expect, how to get through the barriers, how to get all the benefits from this 3-day fasting. And for that information, watch this video